Hello and welcome everyone to this new learning session about Google Slides. Glad that everyone could join live today, and if you're not live and watching the recording, welcome to you as well. Let's go ahead and get this started about new learning series about Google Slides. Today's agenda, we're going to have a brief overview of slides, some things that always want to know about. People ask me about page setup, layout, transitions and animations, how to insert GIF files, audio, video, the sharing options of Google Slides. I'm going to show you a couple different ways to share that I prefer over just a regular share if you're not doing anything collaborative on it. A few add-ons or extras. We're going to talk about insert icons for slides. The extras are going to talk about Slides Mania, Slides Carnival, and My Perfect Presentation. And then we'll do a wrap-up. I could tell you that I could talk about slides for like 8 hours. Slides is my A1 number one thing go-to if I'm working anything in Google. A lot of people say docs. No, I like a slide better because it just seems like there's so much more you can do with it than just a doc, because essentially a slide can be a doc because you can do so many different things with it. I love Google Slides. It's so easy to use, quick, easy learning curve, I think. So I'll make sure that I keep this session to 30 minutes today, but just know that Google Slides and me are like, we are buddies. So I could talk about them all day. So let's get going. All right, so we're going to talk about the page. We're going to talk about the brief overview of slides. So as I did last time when I talked about docs, we're going to talk about the different menus. And I'm going to start here. I'm keeping my slide presentation actually just open in slides. Since we're talking about slides, I'll stay in slides. So I don't have something different going on. I'll just be able to add a new slide if we need to edit some things here. So let's talk about the brief overview of slides. So menus, iconography, layout, and rulers. So if we talk about the menus and we start in the upper left-hand corner, we have some of the the same menus as we would on some of the other Google programs. If we go into this file menu, it talks about the sharing options, copying, how to download, share, the version history, so you can go back and see how you had the slides before on certain days. So if you made a new slide presentation and you did it and then made changes and made changes and made changes, and you're like, oh, I wish I could just go back to the way it was last week. That's what you can do in version history. You can move the file around. We're going to come back to publish to web. That's one of my favorite things. And page setup we're going to come back to as well. And of course you can print from Google Slides. I'm not a big printer just because I don't have the need for it, but you can print from Google Slides, and there's a lot of different printing options. If we go into this edit menu, some of the same things. Always a thing to remember that when you're in any menu and you see this to the side of the function that's listed, that is the keyboard shortcut for that function. So of course an undo, redo, cut, paste. Paste without formatting. That's some interesting things there too. Duplicating things, so you don't have, once you get something made, you can just duplicate it over and over again. The view, right now in my view, I am in just a regular view. I have the ruler across the top because I like what that can do. But something in slides that's relatively new within the last 6 to 9 months are guides. And that's something that's not in docs. I'm going to go ahead and show the guides just so you can see what it looks like. So what it automatically does is it snaps these lines onto your slide so that you can see where the center points are and dividing that slide. You can always add more if you want to as well. So if I go into guides and I could add another vertical guide, so I could actually divide this out and then be able to get some other things. Now, when you go to share these slides, those are not there. This is just for you for during layout to be able to see these. Once you have things how you want to, you can always go back into view, go into guides, and then turn that off or clear the guides. But when I'm doing some layout and setup for slides, I like to have those guides there because, you know, design, there's that new commercial out for Canva, and it says talk about design is not just for designers. Design is for everyone, and you want to make sure that your presentations or whatever you're doing with slides, it has some good design quality to it, keeping things clean and neat. Also in the view menu, you have if you want to show the speaker notes or not. If you want a little bit more landscape or like yardage here to be able to do your work on, you can hide the speaker notes at the bottom, but speaker notes are there when you're presenting, that you could be able to see the speaker notes and your audience wouldn't. I'm not a big speaker notes person. I like to be able to speak off the cuff if I know something pretty well. What I also like to use speaker notes for is to hide like links and other information in there, so that I keep my slides kind of brief and clean, and then I just have a bunch of information in speaker notes. So that's another thing that you can use speaker notes for. You can always make your speaker notes bigger or smaller too. So if you have a lot to type in your speaker notes, if you've got your slide done and you want to type a lot, you can make this area quite big or quite small. So that's one thing about the speaker notes there. The insert menu, a lot of the same things that were in Docs, a few extra things. A lot of times when you have things in the insert menu, they're also going to be across on this menu bar as well. So if you don't see it here, it's going to be here. If you like going from here, it's the same thing as going into here. So lots of different things that are going in there. Your formatting for your text in here, how you can add slides. You can also do layout to certain slides. So if you want it to have a title and so on and so forth, you can see that. We're going to talk about the transitions later. Arranging things on the slide. So if you want to bring something forward. So if I were to go ahead and insert an image, and I'm just going to go ahead and search the web for it. So I can put this apple in, and notice that's in front of everything because this is a graphic. But if I wanted that to send back a layer, so I can go send backwards, now look, it's behind the text, but still on top of this graphic. If I keep going and I say arrange order and I send all the way to back, now it's behind all the way. So you can have the order of things. So if you want something on top, one on top of the other, that's what the arrange is. And of course in here you can center it, you can rotate it, but you can also rotate it the other way. I can actually just take and rotate around like this by grabbing that handle. But if you want to arrange, if you just want to go rotate or flip horizontally or vertically to kind of get that opposite view, that's another thing that you can do. I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. Our tools, if you want to have spell check on, you can also have, you can voice type in the speaker notes. I talked about voice typing in Docs last week, but if you're adding a whole bunch of text down here at the bottom, you can go ahead and use voice typing. And of course there's accessibility settings. Your add-ons, I'm going to talk about one of these. There's more. There's so many other things I want to show you about in here. And of course, help. If you don't know how to do something, Google is here to help you. You can go right into Slides Help or Training and learn more about it. So if this 30-minute video is not quite enough and you want to learn a little bit more, you can always do that. The iconography of slides is a lot the same that you've seen before. So you're going to see your undo and redo, your print. This is about how to format, painting your format. So if you make text a certain way on one slide, you can automatically apply that to another text box on another slide. Your zoom level. So I have this fitting the screen, but if I need to do something to get in a little bit bigger, I can change my zoom level to be able to see it a little bit better. We're on our pointer mode now, so that's how we can manipulate things. We can add a text box, adding images, adding shapes, adding lines. This is where you're commenting. So if you are working on a collaborative document and you don't want somebody necessarily to make changes, but you want them to comment on things, that's what you can do. Now this next area here, I'm going to go ahead and add just a new blank slide at the bottom to talk about the background. So you can set the background of the slide, and then it's not like just setting an image on for the background, but you can also use an image for the background. Note that when you put an image in for the background, you're not able to manipulate it in any other way. You can't change like the transparency or anything like that. But if I can go ahead into the background and I can automatically change my background to red. Now that was just for this slide. So I don't have to, I can make changes on each slide to make it the way that I want it to be. Layout talks about if you want to have things that are automatically done for you. So if you want to just have a text box and another text box all ready to go, it automatically does that for you. I'm kind of someone who likes to start from a blank page because I'm going to add my elements in as I go. I like that blank canvas. Your theme, Google has some themes that are in here, but we're going to talk about adding some templates or themes in a little bit later. And transitions we're also going to talk about a little bit later. So really that's the layout, and we have our rulers on the side. I like to have the rulers because it helps me guide where they're at. You don't always need to have them on, but I like to have my rulers on. Sorry about that. I don't know why that flashed like that. Okay, so that's really brief overview of slides. But let's talk about page setup. I'm going to go ahead and start a new slides presentation just because I don't want to mess this one up that I'm in. Now, when you are starting out with slides, you are always presented with this. It's going to be a white slide. It's going to have the title and subtitle on there. So what I like to do is I like to get rid of this because I'm not going to use a theme right now. And I've seen people, they click on this and then they delete it. And they click on this and then they delete it to get to a blank slide. Well, did you know that if you just go into the layout, you can change it to a blank slide? And this is what I'm going to talk about, page setup. A slide is not necessarily a slide. You can do anything in Google Slides by changing the page setup. So this is a slide, but what if you wanted to make something to be able to print on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper? File, page setup, and we're going to go into custom. And if we want it the portrait way, we're going to go ahead and change it to 8.5 by 11 inches. Now, that changes your slide to this format and you're able to put everything in. This is why I like slides so much better than a document, because you're able to put your text boxes wherever you want to put them. You don't have to worry about text wrapping on top of each other or just typing in one line after the other. You can put text boxes in and make it crazy. This is how I make my newsletters each week. If you are subscribing to my newsletters, if I go into my newsletters here and I go into like just this last week's newsletter to look at it, this is a Google slide. Just change to that 8.5 by 11 portrait view, and then I just made text boxes. I filled the text box with some color and just made my newsletter this way, all in Google Slides. That's how that's done. Now, a slide is not just necessarily a slide either. You can do anything. So if you have, if you wanted to make a poster, you could change it to be 20 inches by 30 inches. Download the file and actually take that to be printed like at Walgreens. They do poster prints, or Walmart, or you can send it in through Amazon. And you can get high quality posters that you make in Google Slides. So when you go into File, Page Setup, that is totally your best friend, that you can be able to change that page setup and do the custom. You can do it by inches, or you can also do it by pixels as well, or centimeters if that's your deal. When you're going about to the layout of slides, now I've talked about layout is this, but I talk about layout as in where you're placing things as well. How do you put the text boxes in? How do you put the images in? You want to think about your layout and design, how clean it is. I like to have some white space. So if you look at my newsletter, there's a lot of information there, but yet it's not too overwhelming because I have a nice white border. I've kind of separated things out. So let's do a little bit of that. If I wanted to go ahead and make one of those colored text boxes like that, I'm going to go to the text box. I'm going to go ahead and draw it. And I'm just going to put some text in there right now. And let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you can see. And I'm going to make this text bigger. So you can, of course, add more fonts just like you can in Docs. Poppins is one of my favorite. You can change it in slides here. I can change it by just going by bigger numbers, but I can also nudge it as well. So if I have this and I want it to be 16 point, I can just go up by the plus and down and back and forth. But you can also go by big numbers as well. Once I have that text box selected, I can do a bunch of things to it. I could make my text bold or italic or underline. I can take that back off. I can change the text color. So let's go ahead and make that pink text. And then we're going to take this text box and we are going to fill it using the fill icon here, this paint. I'm going to make it black. So now I have this cool text box that I've made with the black color and the pink text on top. So I'm able to do that layout. Now I can move that text box anywhere I want to. And in fact, I can also duplicate that text box. Okay? So once I get a text box that I kind of like, I can go ahead and hit Control D or go into my edit and do duplicate. But I love Control D because it automatically duplicates that text box and you get another one that looks exactly the same. Now I could go in here, highlight this text, and maybe change it to lime green. And now I have this text box looking like this. I can resize it. When you go into this, when you have something selected, you can go into the menu over here and you can format. You can see the exact size of this. So if you want to make your box exactly 4 inches by 4 inches, you can do that. You can change the position. All sorts of things with these format options. You can add a drop, shadow, or reflection. Let me demonstrate that a little bit further. I'm going to go ahead and search the web for an image over here, and I'm going to do a transparent PNG of an apple. Okay, and I want transparent because I don't want that white background. You're going to see what the difference means when you're looking at the shadow and the reflection. So when I put that image into my document here, I get this cool image here. Okay, so now I'm just going to hide this out of the way, and I have it selected. I know it's selected because it's got the blue lines and the handles on it. I could turn it if I wanted to, put it any degrees turn. But I'm going to format it, and I want to make that image exactly a 4 by 4 image. So I was able to change that. I can go into my adjustments and I can make it even more transparent. So if I want to put text on top, I could. You can change the brightness and the contrast. Drop shadow, very cool. Now this had a shadow, so it's not quite as easy to see. Let me get a different one here. I did not pick that correctly. Let's search the web. Let's get, we want one without a shadow. Well, let's do this one. There we go. All right, so now we have our image. I'll get my speaker notes down out of the way. Got it selected. I'm going to format it. Again, I'm going to make it exactly 4 inches by 4 inches. I'm going to go to the drop shadow here. And it put this black color here. Now you can increase the distance. See how that makes that cool drop shadow there? I'm going to change it all the way back down to black so that we get that really sharp. You can change the angle, so wherever you want that shadow to drop at. And you can also change the blur radius. So if you want it to be a really blurry shadow, you can do that. If you want it to be very sharp, you just slide this here. And your drop shadow can be any color. So if I don't like black, maybe I want my drop shadow to be yellow to highlight it like that. I'm going to go ahead and take the drop shadow off because I want to show you the reflection. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller just so you can see what the reflection looks like. This is a really neat way to do something. If I do the reflection, what's happening here is that it is taking the image and it's making a little bit of a reflection. You can make it bigger or smaller. You can change the distance of where that reflection is at, and you can even change the transparency level. This really works good for like pictures when you're doing that. So if I insert an image, and I'm going to go from my Google Photos here, and I'm going to get one of my fancy pictures here. And I'm going to go ahead and take this plain image, insert that. What I like the best about this, I'm going to get rid of these text boxes for now. And see how this image has the reflection? Very cool. I could also change the background of my slide to black. And look how sharp that looks with that reflection there. Seriously, this has all been playing around 5 minutes and we have this really, really clean looking slide that we could use with this reflection and add some text. Done. Just wonderful. Transitions and animations. I'm going to keep going because we are almost out of time already. So when we are in our slides, we can go to transitions, and that's where your slides kind of look like they're moving, like have some transitions between them, so they have some like an animation. So I could say that I want them to flip and apply that to all slides. So now if I go into present mode and I go from one slide to the next, it flips. But you can also do animations in there. So if I select this text right here that I want to add an animation, that I want it to fly in from the top on the click, and I'm going to make it go kind of a medium, and I'm going to go ahead and play. And then I have to click, because remember I said I'd have to click. And then that text flies in like that. There's something to be said with using animations and transitions. Think about your content. Sometimes the fancier that stuff is, it takes away from your content because that's what people are looking at instead of what you want them to be looking at. I use it to a bare minimum. I like to keep things really clean. That's totally, totally up to you. You don't have to have any of that in there. You can if you want to. If you don't want something to be animated or to have a transition, you can simply trash it out. And it's not going to have that anymore. And I want to make sure there's none on that for now. Inserting. Okay, so if we are inserting a GIF. Okay, when I am going to insert a GIF into my slide, I like to go to Jiffy and I like to search. And when I do the search, I like to go over to the word stickers, because if I have anything in the background of my slide, I like these because they're transparent. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this one right here. And I'm going to go to the word media, copy link, and it says this GIF link. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm back on my slide, and now I'm going to insert an image from the link, from the URL. Now I have that animated GIF in my slide. Very cool. Now there is another way that you can do that as well. I have my slide ready to go. I'm going to go back over to Jiffy here. Okay. Now I see one that I like. Let's find another one that we like. I'm going to go this one. Now I see this here. Notice that I have my mouse is over the top. I'm right here over the middle of this. Did you know that you can actually take this, click, drag, go right over the top of the tab, open it up, drop it, and there is that Jiffy image right in there. That is very cool. Let me show you one more time how that works, because that's pretty amazing. Let's just take this one right here, the one that's getting bitten. Okay, so we have it. I'm going to click, left click and drag right over to the top of the tab of where I want it to go. It opens up that tab, then I take the image and I drop it. Now you don't just have to do that with animated GIFs. You can do that with just regular images as well. So that's pretty cool, right? Inserting that. How do you insert audio? So if I want to insert audio, I like to use a site that is called Online Voice Recorder, and you can record record your voice and then insert that. So let's put a little in there. So this is the Online Voice Recorder, and I'm going to go ahead and put this audio into my Google slide. You can trim it up so that if you had a little blank at the beginning and the end, save it, it downloads. Then you're going to go ahead and go to your slide, insert audio. Now it has to be in your drive, and I haven't put that in my drive yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and just choose some audio. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and go to my drive and put that in my drive, just so that it's in there. Okay. Let me get this in my drive really quick. And I'm going to get to that recent, and I'm going to star that just so it's on the front end here. All right, so now insert audio. And I'm going to go over to recent. And here's that record online. I know it's the most recent one because it's the first one. Select. And now here is this audio on this slide. I can choose to have that audio playback on a click or automatically, and then it can stop with the slide change, so if you have something longer. How does that work? Well, on my last newsletter from the 16th, I have audio on here. So what I did is I had an MP3 of an Irish jig. See, here's the audio icon right here. And I had it automatically play when somebody opened up this newsletter, and now that music is playing over the back of the newsletter. You can choose to stop it if you want to, or restart it right here on this audio icon. Love inserting audio. Inserting audio, love to insert video too. So you can go to video, you can search YouTube, you can bring your URL in, or you can bring that video in from Google Drive as well. So there's a lot of ways to be able to insert all sorts of different audios and videos into your slides content. Okay, sharing options. When I go to share my slides, I like to put them in what's called a web presentation mode. So I will go, if I'm just like at a in-service or anything. So I would go File, Publish to Web, and I've already done this. So it's all ready to go. Otherwise, you go through this process. You click Publish. It says, are you sure? And you say yes. Then when you open up the slides file or send that link for people to look at your slides, all they're getting is your slides, and they can't edit. They can't change. And they can just move from slide to slide. They can even just choose which slide they want to go to and go from there. And I know I'm rushing, but it's almost done, and I want to make sure that I touch a couple more things that we talked about here. Insert icons for slides. This is just one of the things I like to say as an add-on. So the add-on is insert icons. We're going to open up that sidebar. Why I like this is because you can choose what color you want to make the icon, and then you simply click on it, and it's going to go into your slides. I love iconography in my slides. It's nice and clean. It's all done for you, and you can find anything. So if you want to put these in your slides, it's clean. It's on the Creative Commons. You don't have to worry about something being a copyright thing. That's why I like these icons a lot. I talked about when we were starting, I'm going to skip over text generators. You can read about that a little bit more later. About doing templates, Slides Mania, Slides Carnival, My Perfect Presentation. So if I were to go to any one of those, you can actually, I'm going to go to Slides Mania here. This person is awesome. These are all completely free. And you can find all these amazing templates that somebody's already done. So if you are like, I don't want to take and do all that design. I just want to have something done and change it and put my information in. Okay, let's go ahead and take this one. So it says this cooking presentation, and I want to use it in Google Slides. I say open in Google Slides. I'm going to go ahead and use that template. It's going to automatically make a copy of that template for me, open up Google Slides, and now I can change it, and it looks like I am a layout master without having to do anything for it. So now I can go ahead and change this. I think I spelled that wrong. So, and then add your subtitle, and then just keep going on and on and on, and just edit everything. And then when you present, you look like this major slides awesome person, and you're just using a template. So any one of those, you can go to get Slides Mania, Slides Carnival, or My Perfect Presentation. My Perfect Presentation is a new one. In fact, it was created by some high school kids, and I think they did a really great job. Finally, what I want to say is that this was one of the fastest half hours ever. Am I right? Am I right? I know I'm right. Slides has so much in it. If you have any questions or you want me to go over anything, I am more than willing to do that for you. I just want to make sure that you know that I am here for you and I will help you out in any way that you want. Look for an email to come with the wrap up and links for this session. You can always find everything on my Noon Learning Sessions website here that I'll have all the links ready for you to go, and you can be able to do that. Hey everyone, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now, but I'm going to keep the Meet open. So if you have any questions, I'll be able to take those. But I'm just stopping the recording. So thanks a lot for watching this recording today.